Hello everyone and welcome back to the White Trout channel. Today we're going to take a look at some of my favourite metal lures for sea trout. I'm sure if any of you out there have caught sea trout, you've most likely taken them in metals, and most likely again probably taken them on the most famous spoon of the whole lot for sea trout, and that's the toby. I doubt that there's a more successful spoon that's ever been made for the sea trout. These wee lures are found any time of the year, any state of the tide. There's usually a sea trout that'll have a go at a toby. I like to start off when I'm fishing most of the time in the smaller sizes, 7 gram silver. You can start off a great card, especially in calm weather. If it's really calm, I'll go right down to the 3.5 gram version. Now unfortunately with these tobies, especially with the smaller 3.5 gram ones, they're discontinued, so they're a little bit tricky to get. Again, silvers and blues, always revert back to our silvers and blues in sea trout fishing. Most of the time they're going to be homed in. Their eye cones are trained in salt water to be picking up blues, silver tones more than any other colour. It's usually the opposite when they're in fresh water. The light cones are designed then to pick up reds. Try copper toby, highly effective in sunny conditions, clear water. Just find copper turns them on that wee bit more. Another great card to use is BGL. What I like to do with a lot of my lures is you'll generally find they'll come out of the packets with red on the tails, red up the flank. I generally remove this. Saltwater, most fish, if they have red on them, it's generally a trigger warning colour to stay away the predators. Only every time you ever really pick up a flash of reds underneath the gill plate, usually when the small bait fish are fleeing and turning. So I do like to remove most of the red from the lure, just keeping it on at the gill plates. May just be a fad, but I do find it makes a small difference. Another great toby pattern to use is the whiteflash in 10 grams. Again, taking off the red on our fins. Love to use this lure coming on the dark. Just catches the last of the light just well, and that holographic finish sticker in the lures just peels it off lovely. See, the white again for sea trout is highly effective. Other types of lures that you can use that don't have the S-shaped pattern on them. Small lures like the Landa Delta herri. I've caught a lot of sea trout in these wee lures. Again, the only problem is they're discontinued, so they're very difficult to find, although you can find them on certain internet auction sites sometimes. Again, the herri again, 5 grams. I love to use the really small lures when the water's like glass. Sea trout really get spooky when the conditions are flat calm, and they'll be right up the edge of the beach, usually hunting small flatfish and stuff, which is when I like to bring out a traditional shaped small spoon. This one is a Stukki thun mozzi. Again, discontinued, but you can find certain internet auction sites do have a few available. The only problem is that they're the copper back rather than the all silver. These little mozzi spoons are brilliant. I'm sure I've landed over 100 sea trout on the small silver What I fancy these do is represent small flatfish that are sitting really high up the beach, and the sea trout come in, and they're usually hunting in for them wee flatfish in around the summer, and a wee teardrop shaped spoon can sometimes just pick you off that sea trout when the bigger lures will just spook the fish. Again with the smaller lures, Viking herring sild. This little lures by Solvkroken. Super wee representation of a herring fry. Coming in at 6 grams, this wee lure is really light. But when you have these teamed up with light braid lines, they just fly out, so they do. There's no problems with casting them. Our famous little lure is the Abu krill. I don't think I need to say too much on regards to Abu krills. Their reputation precedes them. Brilliant wee lure. Again, sadly discontinued. Most of these wee small lures, you're just trying to give a suggestion of bait fish. All our bait lure to use is the Acme kastmaster. Tiny little lures, 3.5 grams. Again, I like to use all these small lures. And the water's calm. You don't get away with much. Big splashing lure right beside a shoal of sea trout can just spook them off. Another lure that's easily sourced, happy to hear, is the Bluefox moresilda. A few companies actually make different versions of the moresilda. If you go online, you'll be able to find one. You can get these little guys in silver, blue silver, and they really are quite effective, especially in the evening times. You'll sometimes observe sea trout chasing fry at the top of the water. I like to use the smaller, slimmer spoons. Again, another little example type of spoon is the Hansen-pilgrim. This is a 7.5 gram version. Unfortunately, another lure that's been discontinued. The problem with a lot of these little sea trout lures is, for whatever reason, companies tend to only make them for 2 to 3 years and then stop. Another favourite is this Flemmings-trumf. I believe Bluefox also make a version of filur. This one's a little beat up, as you can see, but still a highly effective fish taker. Lovely wobble in this lure compared to the rest of them. Most of the other lures have the S shape to them, so they'll wobble like that. This little guy just back end. Times what you find sea trout want a lure to just the wiggle at the back. Seems to be a good lure to trigger them off. Another lure from the Flemmings stable is the trumf. Again, these wee lures discontinued. You might be able to find them on certain auction sites again. Great wee lure. Again, some of these wee lures have added holographic stickers to them, painted me on eyes. Again, nice one for when the conditions are calm, clear. If conditions aren't calm and clear, we can start to change up our colour patterns a wee bit. Start to focus more on getting that flash going in the water. Catch a sea-trout's eye. This little small lure, again a sild by Wegler. It's a Norwegian lure. Actually imported from Norway itself. This is a brilliant lure, early parts of the season. Sticks quite tight to the top, filling with a layer of water. And just skate them right underneath. Again, quite a few fish in this way there. Represents our herring fry quite well. If we're fishing clear conditions, again, I like to go for coppers. Never forget the copper. Two nice versions. Hansen-pilgrim, 10 grams. Again, these pilgrims, they discontinued the 7-gram versions, but you can still get them in the 10-gram versions. And they're highly effective all lures. See, nothing fancy, just a copper with a red stripe, but these really do stand out well in those conditions. When you've got those lovely blue skies and clear water, sometimes they're hard to trigger a bite in those conditions. Again, under a cobbler. This is the kinectic salar. Nice wee lures. These are available in different varieties, blue versions, very nice blue and silver. Again, this little copper colour. Use it in the clear conditions. It's a great wee lure to have. If the water's heavy and you need to cut through the wave, you can scale up the heavier weights. Things like the Abu krill, heading up, it's actually a 28-gram version, so it's for a really heavy tide. I wouldn't recommend going to cast these bigger lures over the top of fish that you can see. If you can see them, don't be using the big lures. Stand right down. If you can't see fish, use the bigger lures. You won't spook them. Again, Flemmings-trumf. Not unlike very famous lure, the kilty catcher. Same basic concept. Get the flash going, get them attracted. But I am reluctant to use the bigger lures. I'd rather stick to something between 10 15 grams. Another little lure you can try. And that's just the silver version of the Hansen-pilgrim, 10 grams. I think these are the re-stamp that come out a few years ago, but these are great lures. Represent the white baits and the horn fries quite well. Again, a few bigger lures that I like to use if we're fishing in the heavier tides. So that'll be Toby rocket. Again, you can see taking the red off the fins because I don't like that red. Toby rockets are great lures in the green. You can see we can have it here. Just in the blue, that's in the 16-gram variety. These lures cast out really far. Again, unfortunately discontinued, but they do be available on the auction sites. Again, a heavier lure if needed. Just I'll be Toby, 12 grams. Caught quite a few in the BGL 12 grams over the years. Particularly effective once we get in the back end of July, August, September. Especially in the clear conditions. You can use that lure, clear conditions cloud. Generally works out the best for me on that. Again, with the bigger lures, if you need the distance, sometimes they're focused on taking the bigger sand eels. Something like this Jensen-tobis, 20 grams. If they're on the bigger ones, they will not look at anything smaller, so you need to represent that. Tobis does that quite well. Great swimming pattern to him, as you can see there. Silvers again, it's always hard to look by our silvers. Dropping back down in size. Go on to this little savage gear seeker. Now if you've observed what I've done here with this seeker, just took it right back down, took most of the paint off it. Seen in a few Norwegian channels and Swedish channels, they use this raw colour, clear conditions, and I have to say I find it very effective in clear water in the summer. Just for when they're that wee bit more spooked. Sometimes it's just subtlety's the key with sea-trout, and this lure just look very much once you take the paint off it. But the small 8-gram seeker certainly does the business. One last little lure I haven't really took much of a look at. again, these are great effective lures any time of the year. It's a Hansen-stripper. I'm sure quite a few of you have used the strippers before. Good thing about the stripper is you can reverse the hook and stick it on the back, and it gives the lure a completely different action. It generally sweeps through the water, yeah, but if you reverse the hook, it gives a nice spinning pattern when it's coming in. Again, some holographic finish on that wee lure is stuck on myself. Spruce it up a little bit. The stripper comes quite a few different varieties like the blue. Again, nothing too heavy. You do not want to spook the sea-trout. Start off light. It's my top bit of advice. If you go around casting 9 lures at them, that's it, you've wasted your chance. You cast small lures at them, you can work up to a bigger lure. Another wee favourite spoon I like to use, aptly named, is Solvkroken-favourite. This is a great wee lure in murky conditions. I like to use this during the summer. The thing about metals is nearly everyone will take a sea-trout. These are just a few of my favourites, and I hope you guys have enjoyed watching the video this morning with me. Any questions, any queries, drop it into the comment section and I'll get back ASP. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the content, subscribe, and I'll get back to you all soon. Thanks very much, guys.